My name's Chris Sutton, and some may recognize me as Sci-Fi Diorama Guy. And the journey that I have with action figures and toys is when I was a kid, I was really enamored by the first Star Wars film. Loved it. And it really spoke to me. And so I went to all the different places. I went to Venture, and I went to Target, and I was able to get the toys, and I was super into the action figures, and that never left me. You know, a lot of people go back to their second childhood. Mine never left. I was always enamored by action figures ever since I was 7 or 8 years old until now. And it was really something that gravitated me to build something that was unique.
The advantage came about when Chris was telling me about how he had this product that he came up with, that it was going to hold all of these action figures and have a backdrop and the whole diorama. And again, this was all foreign to me. You know, he says the word playsets, and I always kind of laugh a little bit.
I love dioramas. I love to put my action figures into a setting or into an environment that really sets them off. Maybe it's a background of a ship, or it's outside in the desert. Whatever it is, it's a scene that kind of sets them up and frames them. And so I came up with the Advantage, which is a unique system that is interlocking. It also allows you to put your action figures from over 40 different lines into this setting, and Star Wars figures, the 6-inch ones, the modern ones, the original ones, the vintage collectors like, along with 40 different action figure lines, are all compatible with this system.
I have seen this thing in so many different variations, and we have taken picture after picture after picture, and the action figures that he places on there, one picture, it's really great. It's a bunch of stormtroopers. It looks so cool. And he flips it upside down to show that they're so secure. And the variety of action figures that can go on this thing, this is not just a one size, it's kind of a one size fits all. It's not just, oh, it's just for Star Wars. It's for all kind of other things, which I don't really know what it is because I'm not of this world. But I can think of Teenage Ninja Turtles because I've seen that one.
Chris and I have known each other a long time. I've been going to these toy shows in St. Louis, Missouri. I've been going since I was a little kid. I remember starting to talk with Chris when I was probably around 18 to 19 years old. I'm 38 now, or 39. You know, we would see each other at the toy shows. And when I started getting into toy photography, I would be showing Chris all the work I was doing on the photos, the dioramas. We just instantly were friends through our love of all things nerdy sci-fi action figures. And we started getting together to build and paint custom action figures.
So if you like The Mandalorian, you'll like this. So we started watching that, and she got hooked. And she's a Venture.
I loved it. It's like a Western. So it's a Western, but a Star Wars kind of thing.
Right.
Now, there was, of course, editorial, because I'm a TV talker, so like as I'm watching, I talk to the television.
There's opinion
and so
along
there was a lot of opinions
everything.
Along the way if I did not feel good about, especially
with every show.
With every show and every storyline. And yes,
she says.
And when the Mandalorian was taking Grogu, who I called for the longest time Baby Yoda, because that's what I thought it was until I was corrected. And he was going to give him up. He was going to give him up.
He was.
And I was not happy about that. And I said, I'm going to stop. If he gives him up, I'm stopping the show.
Right.
We're not watching it anymore.
Right.
And then he did the right thing.
He did the right thing.
Anyway, I loved it.
I met Chris through a mutual friend of ours named Roger, and we were both huge fans of Star Wars. We connected over the original trilogy a lot. We both had our favorite characters being like Luke Skywalker and Alec Guinness as Obi-Wan. And with him being my favorite character, it was just, we kind of bonded over that.
It was a dark, stormy day. We really didn't have too much to do else. It was cold, by the way. And I met him here. He was over here on the other side right there. I couldn't help but stop and notice that he had an amazing collection of Star Wars. And I had to stop and admire it because, you know, the display, just like what I see behind me, was just awesome. I had to stop and just admire what I was looking at right there. And then he came from behind it and he was like, hello. I'm Chris. I am the one who's selling this. And then I was like, well, you know what? I believe I've seen you around here before. We have mutual friends, you know? And you know, we became best friends from that point.
I knew Chris through college, and he's been the force that kind of kept us all together. He would reach out and say, hey, we haven't done anything for a while, or hey, let's see a movie, let's get to dinner. It's been nice. It's been a good roller coaster. It's been a lot of fun.
I met Chris by going to Toy Man. We are both customizers, so eventually you just start wandering around looking for parts and pieces, and I noticed he had some really excellently painted custom A-Wings, and he had a Indiana Jones set that he had done the truck and a few of the other pieces, and then I started to notice his figures, and we'd always talk, and hey, we'd come up and look at my stuff, I'd come up and look at his stuff, and it just grew into we're painting together, and we're always talking about projects and stuff like that, and what can we do to make better, and swapping painting techniques and everything.
I met Chris at the Crestwood Mall playing a Star Wars tabletop game that was made by Wizards of the Coast. It was already pre-painted, and he had all the cards ready there. And then as we started to play, Chris and I used to take the figures and start customizing them and painting them and so forth. That's how I met Chris.
I have met Chris, believe it or not, through action figure collecting myself too, It was just out of the blue. He was looking through Black Series, I was looking through Vintage, and we got into a lot of great conversations regarding action figure collecting and just Star Wars in general.
So when Chris first started talking to me about the advantage, he's like, hey, I got this secret project I can't tell you about. And then it was like, hey, I got the secret project, maybe I'll tell you about it next time. And then it was like, hey, I've got this. And then we both went to a show in Louisville, Kentucky. I made a day trip down to Louisville, Kentucky. And he showed it to me, and I was like, because he was so reminiscent of the old play sets. For somebody who doesn't do a lot of custom figures, I thought that was a great idea.
I had to get the licenses, I had to get all the patents, I had to get the mold made. I wanted to get the mold made myself and pay for it and own the rights to it. And it was going to be probably 6 or 7 months on the water. So all that was happening right as we first met.
Right.
And then through the whole process of, I think this is what's coming in the mail next. This is what's coming in next week, and here's the first proof. And so all that stuff that I got, like, she would see and she would get excited about it too.
As far as what he explained it was a play set or a diorama set, and I had an idea in my mind. The first time I saw the advantage was at the toy show when he had the whole produced item in box, and we displayed it for sale, and I was immediately impressed. It was very cool.
What the advantage is it's 4 different sets with 8 different backdrops that allows you to place your figures in this setting that are pretty stable, right? So if you got action figures on a shelf, a lot of collectors display their stuff in their rooms or the shelves, but the problem is they get knocked down, they fall down, they get bumped, and it's happened to me. And so these pegs keep them in place.
So the dioramas that are right here is an absolutely perfect display to be able to show off your collection in your own stylized fashion, and the fact that you can be able to customize it in any way, shape, or form that you want to have your display to be shown is probably the best part of the diorama piece.
These have very sturdy foot pegs and are really, really quality, because I remember him getting all of the samples from overseas, and he just wanted something perfect. He wanted something that would not break, would not snap, would not bend, and that you could customize it and be able to use it for later with new ideas that he's going to release.
I took a video of when the first proofs came in.
That's right.
He was like a little kid. It was so cool to see him pull out, this thing that he had, been creating for so long. So yeah, I took a video of when we got the first proofs.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was great.
When we were kids and we used to play, I very rarely was Luke Skywalker and Han Solo going through an adventure. We would take all the Star Wars action figures and we would come up with our own characters and make our own stories with it, and this very much lends itself to that, because you've got a world that looks very Star Wars. Just you can put your Star Wars toys in front of it, but you can put something else in front of it and it would look like it was absolutely made for that universe as well.
I like the fact that you can take a He-Man figure and you can put a G.I. Joe figure next to it, and you can have a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle figure up there, and they'll all stand up because Chris has the pegs. So that's what I really appreciate about what he's done.
Years of playing with figures and years of displaying figures, over the years, just kind of got me to a place where I'm like, you know what? I want to keep these things where they're not going to move, where they're going to be in place. They're going to be just kind of sedentary, but also in action positions.
I love the way it's almost shelf driven, so you can just set it on a shelf and you can stack them up in your room, and and with the different backgrounds, you can easily pop them out and take pictures.
I think Chris's setup is quite revolutionary. I think fans will be able to enjoy, like displaying their figures and toys in a very unique and a very epic sort of way. I would like to use that phrase. And I just think that what we have here is absolutely remarkable. Try something, that will make their stuff look more epic.
I absolutely think that if you're an action figure collector, you should pick up the Advantage, invest in it, because it'll make your figures pop more than just standing on a shelf. It gives them a background, it gives them floors to stand on. They're not going to knock or fall over because the footrests hold them all into place. It's what I like to call taking your action figure collection up a level, like taking it up a notch, adding more atmosphere than just the figures.
If you like Star Wars, if you like G.I. Joe, if you like modern action figures, if you like military action figures, if you like Fortnite, Ninja Turtles, you name it, this is for you. The Advantage is something that every action figure collector can use and put in your collection to enhance it. Get the Advantage today at sci-fi-dioramaguy.com.